Oh, wow.
Hello.
Hi, Danielle. How are
I'm
you?
good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Thank you.
Good. Good. It's nice to
Yeah,
meet you. Finally.
yeah, finally. I'm so happy to meet you, and I'm so happy to meet you in person in Chicago.
Yes, me too. That's
Yay!
going to be great. Yay.
Yay! And I'm so excited about our conversation because I know it's so important, and this is my first conversation about parenting
Mhm.
a child or a teenager, and I know it's so important because I was suffering from OCD for almost 20 years. First symptoms I had when I was a child, but nobody knows anything about OCD, and now I know we can change it.
Right. Right. That's exactly it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And as you know, my daughter has OCD. She's 19
Yeah.
now, but had I not been specializing in it, I don't think we would have received an accurate diagnosis and accurate treatment for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have also two amazing kids. I hope in the future they will have an amazing life without OCD. But I'm also aware that there are some symptoms I should have in my head and check this and go to therapy if I see something wrong or
Absolutely. One of the things that I think that's hardest about children, how old are your kids?
my son is 8 and my
8,
daughter is 11.
11. Yeah. So when we have kids that are younger, I think a lot of times they're really good at hiding, right? And you can probably attest to this, really good at hiding their OCD and what compulsions they may be doing. And so it's really helpful as parents if we can kind of know what some of those potential red flags might be, right? And since OCD can have so many different themes, it can be really tricky. I find with like contamination, or symmetry, needing things, those are easier to spot and more well known. And so we can tell when kids' hands get really red or scabby, or they're getting stuck in the bathroom a really long time, or all of your hand soap is gone, all of your toilet paper is gone. Like those are
Yeah,
easier to recognize. But some of the more sort of nuanced, taboo ones that aren't spoken about as much and we don't know as much about, kids don't talk about those really out loud very often, and it's really scary for them, and they don't know that it's OCD and they don't know what's going on.
yeah, and small kids are also scared to speak about this, and uh, even even an adult has a problem to speak about mental health because I was waiting 20 years and
Exactly.
what should do small kids with those scary thoughts and here is the problem because I think when now I am aware of symptoms. I can go to therapy and tell my therapist everything. And small kids, I think it's much harder for kids to uh, say out loud about their feelings, their thoughts, and this is also so important to early recognize those red flags.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I think it's so important that when I'm working with a kiddo with OCD, and maybe they didn't disclose anything that was of a taboo theme or anything like that, I kind of do some general psychoeducation without getting into too much detail of, yeah, we can have really crazy thoughts with OCD, right? It can look like this, or this. And
Hmm.
then I've had kids go, wait, that's OCD, right? Like if I can't stop picturing someone naked or I can't stop thinking about, you know, I'm afraid I'm going to hurt my mom. I'm afraid, and then I'm like, yeah, that's OCD too. So a lot of times that opens the door a little bit for them to go in and say, well, actually, I've been having thoughts, and I've been staying away from the knives in my kitchen because I'm so afraid I'm going to, hurt my brother or my mom or something
Mm.
like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. With my daughter, we saw few symptoms because, for example, she wanted always make a carpet in our living room in the line, directly in the line, and she was pretty nervous when this carpet isn't in this direction or something like that. But when I was aware about OCD and about symptoms, I see those small behaviors, and I think maybe it's time to go to therapy. But okay, stop. Let's look at her, and the symptoms disappear. But I'm aware that we should be careful and watch her behavior.
Yeah, you could even do like a little social experiment with her, like, hey, I'm going to have the rug be just a little bit off the line in a little bit of a different direction each day. That's the game we're going to play.
Yeah, yeah,
How do we do that? And can you help me with that and see how much anxiety that causes her or not, right?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
but what we should do as parents when we see those symptoms and we're really afraid about our kids, because so many parents think okay, we maybe don't should go to therapy because other children will think,
Yeah.
oh, he's or she is crazy. And children in school are really uh, uh, can really hurt other children, and this is also a problem because kids at school see these behaviors, these washing hands, and don't understand that this is really mental health disorder, mental disorder.
Right. Right. Yeah, kids can be very cruel. And what I tell kiddos that I'm working with is it's really up to them who they tell about their OCD and who
Hmm.
they don't, and to be thinking about that because young kids don't always understand, and it's a real act of courage and bravery for a kid to share with their best friend or with their group of friends that they have OCD, and sometimes it can go really well and sometimes it doesn't. But I think the more
Hmm.
we self-advocate as communities and destigmatize
Yep.
it, right? I think we have to really take away this idea that mental health is different than physical health. It's our brain. It is a physical part of our body. It is the same and it should be treated the same. And I think the more we can educate and take that stigma away, then I think the easier it is. We definitely want to get our kids in therapy if they have OCD, right? We do not want to wait. We want to get them in therapy, destigmatize it, and help them learn the tools, right, to
Yeah.
be their
Yeah.
own expert ERP therapists. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is absolutely the first point to destigmatize all mental
All
health disorders
mental
and
health.
speak out loud about mental health. Oh, sorry, my mom is here. Cześć, mamo. Yeah, yeah. And this is so important because children, when especially small kids, but also teenagers,
Yeah,
don't understand this OCD mechanism, and they want to that these thoughts go away or something like that. But it's so important that the community, the teachers in school, therapists, and family, especially family, because children lives with her dads, moms, parents, sisters, brothers, and they should understand how should they help these kids. And this
Yeah,
is also important because the first step, okay, we can start therapy with our kid, with our teenager, but the problem, OCD problem, is the problem the whole family.
it is
Yeah.
100%, right? And that's because of a big part of that is accommodations, right? So
Mm,
what we as parents or siblings or even friends do to to sorry, someone just texted me, to unintentionally
yeah.
perpetuate the cycle of OCD. So like as a parent, it's very difficult to watch your kids struggle and suffer, and it can feel very conflictual to withhold completing a compulsion. So, for example,
Yeah.
if my kiddo is like, please just go get that glass of water for me. I don't want to open the cabinet. I can't open the cabinet right now. And for a mom or dad to hold the line and say, I cannot do that for you. I'm sorry, and your kiddo is crying and maybe they're yelling. It's really hard. And yet, I use a really drastic explanation when I'm teaching parents about accommodations. I say, if your kiddo was addicted to a substance, if they had a drug addiction that they were battling, and they said, hey, if you just give me this drug, my symptoms will go away and I'll be okay, would you
Mm,
give it to them? And the parents are always like, no, we would never, because that causes them harm and just
yeah.
perpetuates the cycle. We have to learn how to break it. So this is the same thing, except we don't cut, we're not cutting off all accommodations at once. We really do some important data tracking. What are all the ways we're secretly and unintentionally feeding that OCD cycle? And then how can
Yeah.
we slowly remove them,
Mm,
so that kiddo, if they're going to do a compulsion, they're doing it on their own. I'm not helping them.
yeah. Absolutely. And even when we speak about adults with OCD, it's so important that their family should understand this OCD mechanism, this this thing that reassurance doesn't help, and this is the really important point, because when our close ones will understand this, we can recover step by step, and our kids also can recover. But although there are many parents, they don't understand this, and they scream at her children because they see their children washing hands for 20 minutes, for 40 minutes, for 2 hours, and parents when parents don't understand this, that this is the disorder, and how can we help our kids, this is also frustrating for both sides.
It is. I see parents either accommodate or I'll see them punish, right? Like
Mm,
punish for doing the compulsion, and we don't want to do that ever. I think one of the most important things for parents to learn is that kids have to really be in the driver's seat of their own recovery, which means they get to say when they're ready to do the exposures. They get to decide if they're not ready, and we're there to support them. And that's really hard. We can't
yeah,
force them to not wash their hands. We can decide how much, hand soap we're going to have in our home and whether or not we're going to buy
yeah,
more, but we can't say, I'm forcing you to not do that, and you're going to get better because I'm making you. And so that's really important, right? That they're in the driver's seat, and we are along for the ride with them. It is their journey. Yeah.
yeah. Daniel, we have one question here. What's one quality which is needed as a counselor I could build upon while dealing with children with OCD in palliative care, besides patience and reinforcement?
Wow, that's a hard question. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm understanding, right, that working with kids who are ending they're at the ending stages of their lives due to some medical diagnosis. That's my
Mm,
understanding of that question.
yeah.
Yeah, patience and positive reinforcement is always great, right? Positive attention versus I like kids. I wrote a Kindle ebook for kids. I used to work in an elementary school for about 5 years with young kids. And I felt like if we could empower them to become superheroes, we hear this a lot in the OCD world. I'm certainly not unique to coming up with that
Mm-hmm.
idea, but giving them the capes and giving them like, we can be beating the bad guy, right? We can be creating our superpowers and fighting OCD. It really helps them feel empowered, and we can even turn it into games sometimes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I like to do lots of little rewards as they're fighting OCD. What it does when they start to win some of those battles is it builds confidence and it builds self-esteem, and they feel really good about themselves because we can do hard things. Look at us, right? I'm stronger than I
Yeah.
thought, and I beat OCD, which is the bad guy. And so games and being able to laugh about it and sometimes cry about it, right? These are all things that help kids really understand. I love for them to draw their OCD monster and to name it. I think that personifying OCD for kids is a great way to start to understand what's happening in the brain. Hopefully that
Yeah.
answers the question a little bit. Yeah.
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 So okay, we have kids with OCD, and we go with those kids to therapy. And what we can do a lot. So should we, for example, speak with teachers in
Oh, yeah.
school, with caregivers, with our family, for example, uncle
Yeah.
or aunt. What should they do?
That's such a good question. Um, Here in the States, if you have a child with OCD, they will they will likely qualify for an IEP, what's called an individual education
Yeah.
plan. Do you have something similar to that in Europe?
Yeah, we have something similar, but also when we have kid with special with disorder, with
Yeah.
autism or something like that,
Yes.
there are additional teacher in the classroom.
Yeah. So if the OCD is impacting functioning and distress and impacting education, then we can qualify and we can get services. One of the things that I'm super passionate about, I've been advocating locally here in Colorado, but I'm also actually presenting on it at the IOCDF with my daughter alongside two other wonderful colleagues, is the awareness of OCD in the schools, particularly elementary education, and the link with PANS PANDAS, which is when kiddos get
Yeah,
sick with either strep or something else, and it causes that neuroinflammation response in the brain and in the body, and then they have OCD. And it should be as prevalent as autism diagnoses in the school districts, and it's not. I can tell you for sure that it's not, and
yeah,
that people don't know about it. So one of the things I did last year was I did a free training on what's OCD, what it looks like, and what is PANS and what's PANS PANDAS. And the response I got was really overwhelming. Like, why don't we know about this? This is a team of psychologists and social workers and
mm,
counselors. Why don't we know about this? And I was like, right, that's why we're doing it. But we really need this on a international level of educating teachers, nurses, staff in schools, not only what is OCD and what it looks like and how can we support kids so we're not making it worse, so we
yeah,
can not accommodate, but also support them when they're overwhelmed. But also, how can we be on the lookout for PANS PANDAS so when we have a kiddo that all of a sudden got strep and came back and looks completely different, how can we ring the bell and say, hey, this kiddo needs comprehensive treatment to get better,
mm,
right? Which isn't just going to be ERP, it's also going to be some medical stuff, right? And so that's just
yeah, yeah,
education and awareness. But back to your question, yeah, we should be educating and partnering with schools and with teachers 100%, so they can be your kiddos advocate, and they can be their support system, right? Because they're away from
yeah.
home so much. Yeah.
Yeah, there is so many school where psychologists don't know anything about OCD,
Right.
and this is also the problem. So we have to speak about this, and I want to to teachers speak out loud about mental health with children.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So I think they're a big part of your children's support system, and the more, unfortunately, here and I think across the world, we have to start as educating and advocating, and a lot of
Yeah,
times we do run up into walls of school teachers, administrators, people who don't understand. and who are using sort of punitive methods. They're disciplining your kiddos when kiddos are mentally ill, and that's not a good. That's never
Mm,
a good way to work
yeah,
with kids. So yeah, there's a lot of work to be done in that arena for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. And Daniel, I have another question.
yeah.
How we as parents can manage our emotions and feelings when we have kids with OCD? Because
Yeah.
I know when I'm not a kid, but I know that my whole family although suffer from my disorder because of my disorder because
Sure.
it's so hard. And
Yeah.
we as parents, when we see our kid with those scary thoughts, we see them suffering, we have also pain inside. And how can we manage it? How can we make something for us? Because I think we as parents also need therapy or specialist, and we should make something
Yeah.
for us with our emotions.
Mhm. Parents do need support, and siblings need support, right? Siblings that don't have
Mm,
OCD. A lot of times, all the attention seems to be going to the kiddo with the most needs, and so siblings can feel left out. They can even act out. As a mom, if I take off my therapist hat and put my mom hat back on, yeah, it's been really hard. Olivia, my daughter, not only has OCD but has chronic health disability stuff. She has PANS, and so navigating that whole system. Has been really traumatic. And at some point, I probably need, I should probably go in and do some work on that from a trauma lens. Right now, I'm still in the process of, I've got everything held together so tight, I'm in go mode. But what I teach parents, even when we're in go mode, is one, we have to have really good self care. If you are perpetually
yep.
exhausted, you don't have anything to give to your family, to your kids, if you don't fill up your own emotional gas tank first. So whether that's having a friend's night out, or for me, I teach and take yoga, and that's very, very fulfilling for me. I have to carve out that time for myself to heal, to have a
Yeah.
break from everything that's happening around me. The other thing I try and work on is my own anticipatory anxiety. So one of the things that I've realized is that, when my kid is spiraling, we do, and we're able to talk about it sometimes. And I have never had an official diagnosis of OCD, but if someone had evaluated me after Olivia was born, I would have met criteria. And so I would say, the first 7 years of having kids was very difficult for me and my own anxiety. And so when my kids aren't okay, I'm very easily triggered and can go down my own cycle of what ifs and how do I fix this? And I can't
Mm,
tolerate their anxiety. So I think learning how to manage your own anxiety as a parent and step back and recognize that it's out of your control is really important. And a lot of times
yeah.
when parents learn that their kids have OCD, all of a sudden we recognize the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. Um, and they might have their own generalized anxiety or, their own stuff that they need to work on too, right?
Yeah. Right. It's so important. Self-care is so important because
Yeah.
last time when I became IOCDF advocate, and I make those slides and many actions here in Poland and also worldwide. Zach from Obsessively Compulsive Memes told
Mhm.
me, take care of yourself first, because if you don't, you can't help other people.
Mm. It's so
Yeah,
true. It's
and
so true.
yeah,
It's
yeah, and this
so true.
is so important because we are human and we also need help. We are parents, we need help.
Yeah. I think recognizing it's okay to not be okay, right? It's okay to not
Yeah,
be okay. It's okay to not know the answer. It's okay to be exhausted. And I think there's a lot of guilt with parenting of I should know what to do or I should be able to do this or I did something wrong when none of those things are true. And I still struggle with accommodations, right? I'm an OCD specialist. I understand this. I help
Mm-hmm.
other parents do it. And that doesn't mean, right? So when families are working with a therapist, there should never be any judgment. I might call you out on what's happening here, but it doesn't mean there's any judgment. It means I know this is really hard. Let's see what's happening so we can work to remove those accommodations. But there's no judgment
Yeah.
there. It is really, really hard. I struggle with
Mm-hmm.
it myself to this day.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I see
But
other parents. I see them and I hope that they can
uh,
see me and say, we're doing the best we can with the tools that we have.
yeah, absolutely. And also, this is so important to me. We can be scared about our children, about their feelings, but we can make harsh things with them. We can go to the walk, go make a party with our kids, go to the playground and play games. And we can beat OCD with our kids. This is so important because I know we can.
We can, and that's the best part, right? No other area that I've worked in has been as rewarding as when people do the work, kids do the work, adults do the work, we get better. It is a
Yeah,
formula. It's a simple formula, ERP. It doesn't mean it's easy. It's terribly
yeah, yeah,
difficult and scary, but it works. So when we do it, it works. It's just we got to get to do the doing, right? And that's the hardest part. But yeah, watching people get better is the best part of my job. It's
yeah,
amazing watching people get their lives back. Yeah. 100%.
yeah.
Hmm.
ERP is so hard for me, and for kids, I know it's terrible,
Yeah.
but it's not impossible. It's
Not.
really
Kids are,
game
yeah.
changer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to say kids are often better at it than adults because you explain the rules, right? Here's the game and
yeah,
here's the rules and here's what's happening. And they go, okay, I'm going to do it. And they just do it, right? They
yeah,
just do it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, uh, thank you very much for this conversation.
You're so
Guys,
welcome. This was so great.
yeah, I go now for my to my kids, and we have to go to sleep because tomorrow we have to wake up early.
Okay.
And or maybe guys, maybe you have any question for us? We have a few minutes yet.
Left. Well, if no questions, we will definitely connect in Chicago in July. That's going to be fantastic.
Yay! I'm so excited and so scared. This is a really hard exposure for me,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm so happy to meet you all,
You'll
to
be
meet you,
so
Daniel, and
supported there too. There's so much support there at the conference for everyone with OCD. We just got to get you there, like the flying and the checking in and all of that stuff.
yeah. Thank you so much, and
Right.
see you in Chicago.
Okay. Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, Daniel. Thanks.